Hello everyone. Up till earlier sessions on normal labor, we have talked about the certain terms important in mechanism of labor. Today we'll discuss actual mechanism in normal labor in this session. So what is mechanism? It is the series of movements adapted by the fetus in its birth passage while its expulsion in normal labor. So when the fetus is coming out per vagina in normal labor, in the birth passage, fetus adopts various movements. These movements are important for the fetus for its easy birth passage. If these movements do not occur, then the birth of the fetus per vagina becomes difficult. These movements occur one after the other, so these are the series of the movements. Now, what are these movements? Engagement, descent and flexion, internal rotation, extension, restitution, external rotation, and lateral flexion. These movements occur in these sequence only. Sometimes you are asked in the exam full question, mechanism of labor, describe the mechanism of normal labor. So you should describe these movements, but you should not change the sequence of these events, these movements, right? તમે પહેલાં લેટરલ ફ્લેક્શન લખો ને છેલ્લે એંગેજમેન્ટ લખો તો એવું ચાલે નહીં. પહેલાં એંગેજમેન્ટ જ થાય અને સૌથી છેલ્લે લેટરલ ફ્લેક્શન જ થાય. સો યુ આર સપોઝ ટુ મેન્ટેન these sequence of the movements, right? We'll discuss each movement one by one in detail. We start with first engagement. Engagement is when the fetal presenting part touches the pelvic brim. If you have seen my earlier video where I have explained the various parts of the pelvis, then you must be knowing what is pelvic brim. Pelvic brim is the upper edge of the pelvis. It is also called pelvic inlet. So when the fetal presenting part touches the pelvic inlet, touches the pelvic brim, we can say that engagement of the fetal presenting part has occurred. It occurs at different time in primigravida and multipara. Primigravida is a woman who is first time pregnant, and multipara is a woman who is second or third time pregnant, who is already having one or two children, right? So when the woman is primigravida, in her engagement of the fetal presenting part occurs 3 weeks before the onset of the actual labor. So there is prior engagement of the fetal head. But when the patient is multipara, there is no prior engagement of the fetal head. Fetal presenting part may engage whenever labor starts. So during labor also the presenting part can engage, right? Now what is the clinical importance of these things? Engagement primigravida ક્યારે થાય, multipara ક્યારે થાય, એનું આપણને શું importance? Many a times when patient comes to you with full term pregnancy, her usual question after you examine her is delivery ક્યારે થશે, હજુ કેટલી વાર છે, બરાબર? તો જો primigravida patient હોય એનામાં તમને લાગે કે engagement થઈ ગયું છે. How can you know the engagement? From the grips. When you palpate the pelvic and pollic grip, you can palpate the fetal presenting part. So if presenting part is palpable on grip, that means part is engaged. If it is not palpable, that means the part has not engaged yet, right? So in the primigravida, it occurs 3 weeks before the onset of labor. તમે પેશન્ટને એવી ધરપત આપી શકો એક્ઝામિન કર્યા પછી કે 2 કે 3 વીકમાં 15 દિવસમાં ડિલિવરી કદાચ થઈ શકે. સો શી કેન મેક ધ રિક્વાયર્ડ અરેન્જમેન્ટ. ઓલ્સો શી કેન પ્રિપેર હરસેલ્ફ સાયકોલોજીકલી, બિકોઝ સાયકોલોજીકલ પ્રિપરેશન ફોર નોર્મલ લેબર ઇઝ વેરી વેરી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ. એણે બીજા બધા એક્સપિરિયન્સ લેડીઝ પાસે સાંભળ્યું હોય કે લેબર પેઇન એટલે બહુ જ સિવિયર પેઇન હોય, એન્ડ એકચ્યુઅલી ઇટ ઇઝ ધ ફેક્ટ. Labor pain is the most severe body pain among all the other body pains. એટલે આપણા જેટલા પણ ફિઝિકલ પેઇન્સ છે એમાં સૌથી સિવિયર પેઇન લેબર પેઇન હોય. એટલે એને બીજા બધા પાસેથી એવું સાંભળ્યું હોય કે બહુ જ દુખાવો થાય, બહુ જ પીડા થાય, એટલે એને પોતાની જાતને સાયકોલોજીકલી પ્રિપેર કરવી પડે. Then only she can pass through the process, right? So your such intimation can make her psychologically prepared. But suppose multipara is there, You cannot say about time of labor priorly because engagement occurs at the time of labor. Right? Now there are two types of the engaging diameter, anteroposterior and transverse. Anteroposterior diameter is suboccipitobregmatic. This is when the head is completely flexed. You can see this diagram. See here, towards your right side, the head is completely flexed. So when the head is completely flexed, you can see the transverse green line. It shows you the engaging diameter. It is suboccipitobregmatic. Sub means under and bregma is the meeting point of cranial sutures. You can say it is the anterior meeting point. Posterior meeting point is called lambda. So when the head is well flexed, the engaging anteroposterior diameter is suboccipitobregmatic. Coming back to this slide, engaging transverse diameter is biparietal and the measurement of both this diameter is same. It is 9.4 centimeter. Another movement is descent and flexion. Descent means to come down. Suppose if the fetus when engages at the pelvic brim remains at the pelvic brim only, then birth will not be possible. So for the easy birth, the fetus has to come down. So this process of coming down is called descent. And descent is a continuous process occurring throughout the mechanism of labor. Right? It is very slow in the first stage but becomes well marked in the second stage of labor. It ends with the expulsion of the fetus. That means it continues till the fetus is expelled out, till the fetus is born. Right? The head from the pelvic brim reaches at pelvic floor by the time cervix is fully dilated. Right? So when the first stage begins and when the first stage ends with the complete cervical dilatation. So by the time when the first stage ends, at that time from the pelvic brim, head has reached up to the pelvic floor. Now why this descent occurs? It occurs due to uterine contractions and retractions and bearing down efforts of the mother. We'll discuss further bearing down efforts in detail, but these efforts are put by the mother to cause the expulsion of the fetus. So these two factors are responsible for descent, uterine contractions and retractions and bearing down efforts made by the mother. Now what is the importance of the descent? Descent helps in complete flexion of the head. Again see this diagram towards your left side. It is a deflexed head. So in this deflexed head, if the engagement occurs, then descent will cause further flexion of the fetal head. Right? And flexion is very, very important for the easy birth. Right? So descent helps in complete flexion of the head if engagement occurs in the deflex attitude. Pelvic floor resistance promotes flexion. What causes flexion? Pelvic floor resistance. This resistance is in the upward direction. So when the resistance, the force comes in the upward direction, this will compel the head to bend over the chest. So this will cause flexion of the head. So that was the descent and flexion. You can be clear why the flexion is important. Flexion reduces the fetal size. You can compare this diagram. Towards your right side it is well flexed head. Towards your left side it is the deflexed head. You can see here, you can compare here the fetal size in the flexed head and deflexed head. In the deflexed head, fetal ovoid is larger, fetal size is larger. In the flexed head, fetal size is smaller. So fetus tries to be smaller and smaller in the size so that fetus can easily pass through the birth passage. That's why the attitude of the flexion is very, very important. And the descent helps in this flexion of the fetal head. Next movement is internal rotation. It occurs in the pelvic floor. It is 1/8 of a circle rotation of the fetal head so that the occiput lies under the pubic arch. See this diagram. If it is LOA position, occiput rotates through 1/8 of a circle towards the right side. And if it is ROA position, occiput rotates towards the left side. It is 1/8 of a circle rotation towards the midline. So in the LOA position towards right side, in the ROA position towards the left side. So occiput rotates. Why? So that the occiput lies under the pubic arch. If occiput remains transverse or remains oblique, this will cause obstruction in the birth passage. Further passage of the fetus cannot occur, right? So for the easy descent, the occiput changes the position, becomes antero-posterior. With this internal rotation, occiput lies under the pubic arch. Coming back to these details, internal rotation causes further descent. Occiput passes beyond the symphysis pubis. Earlier occiput was in the pelvic floor. With the internal rotation, descent continues, and so the occiput reaches the symphysis pubis. There is no further descent without internal rotation. I told you, if internal rotation does not occur, occiput obstructs in the birth passage. So further descent will not occur without internal rotation. Internal rotation makes the further passage of the fetus easy, right? So this is the internal rotation. It is 1/8 of a circle rotation towards the midline. So the occiput can lie under the pubic arch. So what is the cause of this internal rotation? Forward gutter-like slope of the pelvic floor causes this movement. Do you know which muscles form the pelvic floor? There are two groups of the muscles, piriformis, levator ani, coccygeus and piriformis, levator ani, coccygeus and the fourth name is I am not also getting. It is on my tip of tongue, but still I am not getting it. Here it is obturator internus. Two groups of the pelvic floor muscles are there, piriformis, obturator internus, levator ani and coccygeus. First group is piriformis and obturator internus. Second group is levator ani and coccygeus. If you see the origin and the insertion of these muscles form the pelvic floor with the gutter-like slope. They move, their slope is towards the midline, you can say. So we just discussed in the internal rotation also. The occiput is going towards the midline. See this diagram. In the LOA position towards the right side, so towards midline. In the ROA position towards the left side, so it is towards the midline, right? So these muscles form gutter-like slope. It is forward gutter-like slope, and this causes internal rotation. Next movement is extension. Extension causes birth of the fetal head. Extension is caused by couple of force theory. Couple of force theory means the fetal force is downward. Two types of forces are there. Fetal force is downward and the upper force is upward and forward. Now as per the physics, you have studied that the upward and the downward forces are neutralized, they nullify. Now the remaining force is the forward force. So because of this forward force, the head which has reached perineum, it passes through the vagina. It comes out per vagina. So extension causes the fetal birth, right? So that is the couple of force theory. Another movement is restitution. It is 1/8 of a circle rotation of the fetal head in direction opposite to that of internal rotation. It is opposite to that of internal rotation. See this diagram. In the LOA position, when the internal rotation is occurring towards the right side, the restitution is occurring towards the left side. And in ROA position, when internal rotation is occurring towards the left side, restitution occurs towards the right side. So it occurs opposite to that of internal rotation. First, why there occurs restitution? Whenever there is internal rotation, say I told you only the head rotates, not the whole body. So when only the head rotates, there is one twist in the fetal neck. For example, મારે જો સાઈડમાં જોવું હોય તો હું ખાલી મારું મોં જ ફેરવું આમ તો શું થાય, મારા ગળામાં એક ટ્વિસ્ટ થઈ જાય. સેમ વસ્તુ ફિટસમાં થાય, ખાલી હેડ રોટેટ થાય, બાકીની આખી બોડી તો ઓબ્લિક જ રહે, પણ હેડ રોટેટ થાય આમ એટલે બોડીનું એલાઇનમેન્ટ તૂટી જાય અને ફિટલ નેકમાં એક ટ્વિસ્ટ થાય. બરાબર? એટલે ઓક્સિપોટ જે અહીંયા હતું LOA પોઝિશનમાં, LOA પોઝિશનમાં ઓક્સિપુટ જ્યાં હતું ત્યાંથી એ સિમ્ફાઇસિસ પ્યુબિસ નીચે આવી જાય છે. બરાબર? રેસ્ટિટ્યુશન થાય એટલે ફરી પાછું ઇલેક્ટ્રિકલ એમિનન્સની આગળ જતું રહે, એ લેવલ પર જતું રહે, એટલે બોડીનું જે અલાઇનમેન્ટ તૂટી ગયેલું એ રેસ્ટિટ્યુશન થાય એટલે પાછું એ અલાઇનમેન્ટ આવી જાય. સો ફોર ધ રીઅલાઇનમેન્ટ ઓફ ધ બોડી ટુ રિમૂવ ધ ટ્વિસ્ટ ઇન ધ ફિટલ નેક, ધીઝ રેસ્ટિટ્યુશન occurs, right? Then external rotation. It is again 1/8 of a circle rotation of the fetal head in the same direction to that of the restitution. It is due to anterior posterior position of the anterior shoulder on the pelvic floor. Like after the delivery of the fetal head, the shoulders reach pelvic floor. Now the shoulders are oblique. If they remain oblique, the same problem occurs. Shoulders get obstructed at downward level. So to avoid that obstruction, shoulders want to be anterior-posterior. So when the shoulders be anterior-posterior, occiput also rotates to 1/8 of a circle. So that is the external rotation. You can see these diagram. I have labeled external rotation. It is in direction similar to that of restitution. એટલે LOA પોઝિશનમાં રેસ્ટિટ્યુશન લેફ્ટ સાઈડમાં થાય તો 1/8 ઓફ સર્કલ રોટેશન એક્સટર્નલ રોટેશનમાં પણ લેફ્ટ સાઈડમાં જ થાય, અને ROA પોઝિશનમાં ઇન્ટરનલ રોટેશન રેસ્ટિટ્યુશન રાઈટ સાઈડમાં થાય તો એક્સટર્નલ રોટેશન પણ રાઈટ સાઈડમાં જ થાય. એને એક્સટર્નલ રોટેશન કેમ કહેવાય? કારણ કે હેડ ઇઝ નાવ આઉટ. Earlier when there was 1/8 of circle rotation, the head was inside, so it was internal rotation. Now the head is out, so called external rotation, right? And the last movement is lateral flexion. After the shoulders become anterior posterior, further descent occurs, and this descent continues till anterior shoulder lie under symphysis pubis. That means further descent occurs till the shoulders reach at the perineum. Then there is lateral flexion of the spine. This causes delivery of the shoulders, followed by delivery of the remaining body. In the shoulders, posterior shoulder is delivered first. So this is how the labor ends. There are various movements taking place in the mechanism of labor. These movements are engagement, descent and flexion, internal rotation, extension, restitution, external rotation, and lateral flexion. I hope you are more clear now. So you can revise it again and you will be more clear. If you still cannot understand, you can ask me. Thank you.